Hello, hi, this is Kyrol from Chat Innovation, Change and Entrepreneurship. Today I will someone special on IoT. See you in 3 minutes. Hello, hi, Faizal. This is Cairo. Can you hear me, Faizal?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, I can hear you really well. I don't know. I think this the live.
Ah,
I don't know. Can you hear the live?
say again.
Yeah, can you hear from your side the live? Uh,
Yeah, I can hear you.
can you hear me well? Yeah. Yeah, the from the live. I hope
Yeah.
it can pick up. All right. Thank you so much for coming in and to the show Innovation Change and Entrepreneurship. And today we have a special topic. That's why you brought you in on IoT, how to accelerate IoT adoption for businesses and household. Right. So before I start, maybe you can share with me a little bit about yourself. What do you do?
Okay. So my name is Faizal Ali. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm an engineer. engineer by trade. I'm a Polytechnic Institute in New York in 2001. Boston. I
Right.
worked on the CT machine, so CAT scanners. So you have the medical and the luggage scanner application.
Right.
And then in 2005, I moved to San Diego. Kind of did the same thing, electrical engineer. And then 2017, I moved back to Malaysia, and I started we started Vectolabs lah in Sabjaya.
Right.
So now we have a team of about 12 engineers in Sabjaya.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, so you work abroad and then you came back and you start Vector Labs Technologies, right? So can you share with us a little bit? What does Vector Lab Technologies do?
Okay, so today we develop IoT solution. There's kind of two things, like own products, our own solutions. So for those, we kind of focus on right now smart city. We're starting to get into facility management. So that's kind of one part of our business. The other part of our business is we partner with enterprise to develop their solutions. So usually we
Mm-hmm.
partner with usually in the big enterprise they have like a subdivision. Their job is to kind of come up with solutions. So we work with that with those
Right.
guys.
All right. Okay. So you become their like OEM for their product. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean yes and no. Not I mean we kind of co-develop it. So
Mm.
for example, if you're trying to develop hardware, so hardware development is very iterative. Though. You don't get it right the first time. It takes
Mm-hmm.
a few iterations.
Mm-hmm.
So we have what we call a micro manufacturing lab. So it's kind of designed what we call from zero to 100.
Mm.
To scale before you go to OEM. When you go to OEM, you got to go to one of the big guys. But from 0 to 100, before you get to the OEM, you work with us.
Ah, right. Good. So, what sort of things that you've been working on right now? I mean, those kind of stuff. Just tell us a bit concept or in general.
So so on the smart street light, there's kind of two connectivity that we kind of focus on. One is LoRa, which is a LP1 technology, and also NB-IoT, also LP1 technology. Um, I think last year we had entered the Maxis IoT challenge, and we had proposed a radar to replace loop sensors at the traffic light. If you notice your traffic light are
Mm-hmm.
the loop sensors, we are replacing that with radar. So that's what we're working on the smart city, and then on the FM we're working on the smart toilet lah. So for the toilet, what we're trying to change FM, how they do business is, rather than doing interval-based cleaning, they do data-based, usage-based cleaning.
Right. Tell us more a little bit about the toilet-based cleaning. I saw it in your Facebook, but can you tell us a bit more for the audience?
So I think, if you look at FM, so facility management today, especially in Malaysia, we're very labor. It's very, anywhere it's labor intensive. There's no automation. Scheduling is kind of done based on assumptions. If you imagine like even KLCC, right? So how do you
Mm-hmm.
clean the toilet? So you just tell a guy, hey, you clean first floor, second floor, third floor, and then you just come back first floor, second floor. So it's interval based type of cleaning, right? So
Mm.
what we're saying is that that might not always be the best. You're working based on assumptions. Working based on old data. You're not adjusting to, actual usage or actual needs. You're probably cleaning first, second, and third the same way, and all the stalls the same way. And what we're saying is that look, we can tell you, based on number of people usage, sensor, we can detect the smell, and then based on customer complaints, we can automate, the exhaust fan, we can automate the induction fan. So what you try to do is kind of reduce the human intervention while keeping
Right.
the quality high. Yeah.
Okay. Right. I mean, in terms of the solution, there's an interesting way of using IoT, right? But for IoT, in your opinion, for laymen, right, for general people, what does it mean to them? Can you hear me, Faizal? Right, I think I lost him for a while. Yeah, this is Faizal from
So,
Vectolabs.
I kind of like
Yeah.
how I don't know if you remember, Elon Musk, somebody asked him, IoT toilet sensor. I make a solution. The underlying technology, the guys who's using it, they don't care. You
Mm.
know, just tell me how I make more money or how I reduce my costs.
Right.
And I sometimes sometimes I'm almost hesitant to tell people I'm an IoT company. I'm because they kind of pigeonhole you into something. What
Right.
I do is help facility management or city, reduce costs and have better service.
Mm.
How I get there? Yes, I use IoT, but
Mm.
if I get there without IoT, okay, do that again. But
Uh,
that's my opinion about how I
yeah.
position myself,
Okay,
how I
Faizal. I
position
mean,
Vector Labs. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, talking about reducing costs, right? I mean, what kind of cost reduction that we're talking about when using IoT?
Okay, so if you look at toilets in Malaysia,
Mm.
we're talking about toilets, because that's what I'm familiar with. All toilets, and I'm sure you can, are either overserved or underserved. Okay, so the hotels, they're overserved. How did they do that? They just throw people at it. Hey, every 5 minutes you go clean that toilet. That's what we call overserving, lah, right?
Mm.
And then you go to the petrol stations. Some of them, let's not name names, but those are underserved, right? They don't have
Mm.
enough, they're not clean often enough, right? So there's that sweet
Right.
spot right in the middle where you can go, this is where I want to be. I don't want to be, underserving. I don't want to be overserving. So you with the sensors, you can hit it just right.
Mm-hmm. Right. So in terms of cost, again, I want to hit back on that topic. I mean, what kind of cost reduction are you talking about? I mean, if that kind of company use IoT.
Okay, so if you think about labor, so on average, the
Mm.
cleaners will cost you somewhere around 1,800 to 2,000 ringgit per month lah, per person, and then you add up
Mm-hmm.
the cost of employment, and foreign laborers are going to be more expensive, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the COVID-19 apa semua, the cheap labor, the days of cheap labor, I think are kind of going away. So you have to figure out how do I make sure, and with the COVID, customer expectations are going up. Customers are
Mm.
expecting, better hygiene in their facilities, but at the same
Right.
time, you also have, labor costs going up. So facility management kind of have double hit. So
Mm.
how do you, maintain that? You kind of have to adopt some of these technologies to reduce your costs. Um,
Right.
if you can reduce cleaning at that toilet by 30%, then that's 30% of that person's time you can spread out doing other things.
All right. Okay. So I mean, for the businesses, the reason why they use IoT, number one is so that they're able to do it more regularly and on time, and of course, like you say, the toilet solution is for hygienic purpose, right? Particularly with the COVID environment where things are spread a little bit more easily than others, right? So in your situation at Vector Labs, for example, what are some of the challenges that you're experiencing to convince or to get businesses to adopt IoT?
So I think, well, there's a lot of challenges lah, being a
Mm.
service provider kat Malaysia. I think the one challenge that a lot of service provider will tell you is that, Malaysian as a country, we are a nation we're not used to developing technologies, right? So the local guys, we kind of have to work a little bit harder to convince the users that Malaysia can produce, the same level of quality as they might be used to, buying from the American and the European countries. So first, you have to kind of overcome that a bit of a bias against the local technology. Second thing for us, kadang-kadang, we have some government policies that are kind of outdated. That kind of, I think it was well intentioned, but I think might have bad. For example, all the street lights in Malaysia, the municipal are paying, the electricity cost they pay is less than the cost of production. So
Oh.
because of that,
Mm.
yeah, because if you take away the motivation to save energy, then nobody's going to adopt energy saving devices, right? So they
Mm-hmm.
pay 20 cents per kilowatt hour. That's how much it costs for TMB to produce energy.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the if you take away that motivation, then why do it, right? So like I said, like
Yeah.
you only adopt IoT if it saves you money or if it serves your customer better. But if it
Right.
doesn't, then so you kind of have a fake economy where the municipals are discouraged from adopting because they are being paid by subsidies. So that's one of the
Mm.
issues. We also you know so kita tak ada connect. We don't have a wide LP1 connectivity. Like Koreans and Europeans, they have widespread LoRa connectivity or NBA IoT. So telcos in Malaysia, they still haven't really turned on the NBA IoT. It's all demand based. When you ask them, "Oh, show me your demand," and then I'll turn it on. So it
Mm.
gets to that chicken and egg thing. So it's a bit
Right.
tough. Yeah, there's a
Right.
lot of challenges, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's natural. With technology always kind of the legislation have to catch up to technologies lah.
Yeah. So you mentioned just now, Faisal, about a bit different doing business in Malaysia. I think you had experience working in US and abroad. How different is that there compared to here in terms of comparison that you mentioned just now?
I think so I worked oh man I worked a long time in the US. So in Malaysia, Asian culture in general, the selling is a bit more I mean it everywhere. It's you have to know the right people, but it's a bit more true in Malaysia. The selling is very relationship based. You can't even get your foot in the door if you don't know somebody at that organization.
Right.
It's true anywhere, but it's more pervasive. It's more true in Malaysia. That's my one opinion
Mm.
lah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
But what about in terms of solution? What you call you mentioned just now about local tech, right? There's some biases
mm,
about local tech solution. So compared to
mm.
you have seen before abroad, how different is that? Is it more or less the same, or is it better? Can you share
No,
with
I
us?
think if if you work in an American engineering company, for an American, they believe their product is the best, better than anybody
Mm,
else, right? So,
mm, mm,
we don't have the same sentiment, kat Malaysia, right?
mm,
Malaysians, and it takes time. They're not yet feel that we can catch up. So
right.
it's a bit of an uphill battle lah. Mm.
Yeah.
So in the US, if any foreign company trying to sell me something, and they have to show me that at least their cost has to be significantly less because you know I'm
Yeah.
assuming I'm behaving in a way that your quality is less.
Right. So when you say significantly less, I
Not
mean, what
significant
do you
lah.
consider significant? Like 20,
Well,
thirty
usually,
percent
if I'm buying a circuit breaker, for example, I used to be, if I'm buying a circuit breaker from GE and then one
Mm,
company I'm not familiar with
mm,
from China, you know, um,
mm.
for me to even look at it, it's got to be at least 30 to 40% less, because
Okay.
the GE comes with the trust and the brand name and the whereas the I don't know the history of this other guy.
Right.
So same thing, I guess locally,
Mm,
the guys I'm
mm.
talking to, hey, I have this big company that I can trust, and I have Faisal that I just met today.
Right.
So
Right.
of course we have to work a little bit harder.
Yeah. Okay. I want to you share with us a little bit about your patent. In your profile you mentioned you have a patent that you
Mm.
file and you call yourself accidental entrepreneur. Tell us a little bit more about that, Faisal.
So I worked in the US as an engineer, but I am a bike guy lah, mak rempit. So
Ah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah. So actually, one of the problems that guys that ride big bikes can relate to is we engine brake a lot. Okay. Now in the US, so in Malaysia, you can do traffic filtering where you go through between the cars, right? In the US, the motorcycles, first you have to have a larger engine. You cannot have a 250 or below bikes. It's engine has to be 250 or above. And second, you cannot traffic filter for the most states. You have to behave like a car. So the problem is, motorcycles do get rear-ended, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the problem is because we engine brake. So brake switches, brake lights in the car today are switch based, right? So when you touch your foot on the brake, it's a switch. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying that it can be an accelerometer instead of a sensor base rather than a switch base. And actually, I didn't know. I learned later that a lot of other vehicles, not just motorcycle. So we sell to a lot of snow plows and electric trucks, in the US. Yeah, so all the snowplow in Canada uses our system. We sell a bunch in Germany, so that's how. So I'm accidental because I did not set. When I was a kid, I did not say, oh, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. It's like, oh, I'm going to be an engineer. That's what I thought I was gonna. And I was an engineer for 15 years until
Right.
this Kickstarter thing came along. Yeah.
Right. Right. Well, that's an interesting story, Faisal. But I want you to expand a little bit more on that, where you say that you've been an engineer for 15 years and now you become an entrepreneur. Is it a full time entrepreneur right now for yourself?
Yeah. This is all. That's
Yes.
my only job. Yeah.
Right. Why the shift? Why the change?
Um. Okay. So I think so when I moved to Malaysia, one of the thing that I kind of felt, I really felt we have what I call we don't have productivity and knowledge. So what I mean is we have a lot of people. We produce Malaysia as a country produce a lot of engineers, and most of us are under work. We're not doing fun stuff. I was building cool stuff when I was in the US.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to build a company for engineers to do cool stuff. You know,
Right.
because if you look at if you even when I was in the US, right? If you wanted to get a PCB board like a mixed volume, you come to Malaysia, because we have the ecosystem. But the problem is our value capture is really small, so my Volo, like, let's say, it's 100 US dollar, right? Cost of assembly is only like $10. So that's Malaysian cost capture, $10.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever owns the
Right.
IP capturing most of that value, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why our engineer punya salary tak naik-naik. Our engineer salary been stagnant. When I graduated, my offered salary from TMU was like 1,400, whatever. That's what
Mm-hmm.
guys, graduating today, 20 years later, still starting salary 2,500. So
Yeah.
I think there's a lack of engineering firm that are building cool stuff. So I felt like that's my calling right now.
Wow, wow, that's very inspiring, Faisal. I didn't know that you have that. That's a great dream. I think we could have another one session just on that. Right. So because of that, that's why you move into entrepreneurship, right? So for an IoT entrepreneur like you, right? And I mean you're a cool engineer. So what the future look like in your
So I
vision?
think in Malaysia, and to be honest, we are in ASEAN now. ASEAN is one of the fastest growing economies in the world, right? So among the ASEAN countries, I think Malaysia is best positioned to take advantage of this new IoT punya stuff, because we produce a lot of engineers. We have the ecosystem. If you look like countries like Vietnam, Indonesia, Thailand, you know, I read that the Ericsson was saying, like, there's some 50 billion devices are gonna IoT devices are gonna come online
Yeah.
in like 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you should ask
Yeah.
yourself who should make those devices. And I'm saying it should be us. Maybe not the 50 billion, dapat 2 3 bit, but we should be a part of that, you know.
Yeah. Right. So you feel that Malaysia is, but do we have the talent or not? I mean, to cater this kind of demand.
I think we do. I think, I'll be honest, I hire local kids, and
Mm-hmm.
I've worked in the US, and I'm interviewing these kids here.
Mm-hmm.
Now it requires a bit of training and polishing and kind of framing how you think about something, but their
Mm-hmm.
fundamentals are very strong. They are
Mm-hmm.
the engineering fundamentals. University like Uni 10, UTP, they're producing really good engineers, and to
Mm-hmm.
be honest, they'll graduate and they won't do what they keep, they won't. Itulah, I mean, they'll do some stuff, but not that much fun, I think.
All
They
right.
won't do really
So
cool
you
stuff,
mentioned,
yeah.
you mentioned about that you hire local graduates and you think from what you said just now, you think highly of them, right? So what do
I
you
do.
think? Yeah, I mean, what do you think that they could do more for the upcoming graduates? What they think that they should be polishing themselves more in?
The part that I struggle with the local kids,
Mm-hmm.
one is they are very lone ranger type of work. You know, it's hard for me to get them to work as a team. So they're very like, I think our education system focuses them to do things by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to kind of really kind of tweak that away. Um, the other part is but I think this is engineers everywhere. The communication skill, needs to be can be improved. you know um and just how you approach a problem. I think just how you look at things. I think that just come with experience. I think just by
Mm-hmm.
doing things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, let's talk about something a bit more building on the talent part, right? So,
Mm.
assuming that primary students, secondary students who want to be an engineer in IoT, right? What do they need?
Okay, so I have two kids, and one of my kid totally not interested in engineering.
Yeah,
So I
not
don't
yet,
I
not
don't push
yet.
it that way.
Yeah.
But I have one kid, he loves programming and he loves building gun. He's that nerd lah,
Mm-hmm.
So I think you know, I teach him programming, and to be honest, it's not about the programming. You don't teach programming to teach programming. You teach programming so that they try things, so they belajar patient. Things don't work the first time, you keep trying at it. They learn logical thinking, and I think that applies no matter what you do. you know
Yeah. Right.
um
Right. So I noticed that that you said just now about your kids, right? Is it a boy or girl?
Two boys, yeah,
Two
both
boys.
boys,
Two
yeah.
boys. All right. Wow, that's
Yeah.
nice.
So
So
one,
the
I
father.
can tell he's leaning towards
Mm-hmm.
engineering. One is leaning
Mm-hmm.
towards more of like finance, or he wants to be an ad guy. He wants to do copywriting. He wants to write
Oh, really?
ads.
Wow, interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. All
Yeah.
right. So I noticed Vectolabs participated in a number of challenge and competition. Tell us a bit more
Mm.
about that. Why do you go into it? What do you learn from it?
Well, we went into the Maxis IoT challenge for a couple of reasons. One is because we were fairly new in the industry and nobody knew who we were. And I think winning the thing kind of opened a lot of doors for us. Number
Mm-hmm.
two was because we wanted to develop NB-IoT technologies, and at that time, that was the only way to get our hands on a SIM card. And of course,
Mm-hmm.
it's fun lah. Among the team, it's a fun like hackathon thing. So it's kind of like a fun thing. And I'll be honest, a lot of the tech event in Malaysia are very extrovert oriented, and most
Mm-hmm.
engineers are not comfortable at the tech events. But you do this competition, it does bring them together, and it's also a better way for us to, because I think introverts engineering, they don't like to talk for tak ada sebab, but when you're
Mm-hmm.
working on something and you exchanging ideas with your other guys going into competition, that's how we connect. If
Mm-hmm.
like the trade shows are really bad for engineers, we don't like it. I don't do well at it.
Okay.
That kind of
So
competition is where I meet most of my contacts are.
right. So what could be something that for engineers? I mean, how would it look like? Any experience on that?
MTDC did one. They call it unconference event. I really like
Mm-hmm.
it. It's more like a
Mm-hmm.
smaller group, and you pick whichever. And it's not, like most conference. There's one guy talking, and the rest of us are just listening, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the unconference, you are working on something specific, and you have a smaller group, and I think that was more for technical people who might not be comfortable talking in front of like 100 people. They're comfortable talking
Mm-hmm.
to like in a small group where it's more of a discussion rather than a one-way communication.
Right, right. Okay. Well, I think that's a good compliment to MTDC.
Mhm.
For that could be something that a lot of people could learn from. I mean, in
Mm.
terms of design of the conference that would appeal to engineers, people
Yeah,
like you.
I think if you're trying to, I think that's the thing. Like most events are run by event companies, a bunch of extroverts, and so we don't get a voice in how uh I'll give you an example, right? If you want to know how the best run tech, just look at the Magic conference and just
Right.
duplicate the Magic conference into the upper tech scene. I think that would work better for us.
Right. Okay. Okay. The small group kind of event.
Yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah,
Okay.
something more tangible and specific. Or I don't know.
Cool. Nice. Okay, we are already 12:42. Final question to you. What's next for Vector Labs?
Vectolabs. Okay, so I mentioned before we kind of focus on developing our own product, but one of our strategy now is we co-develop product with enterprise. This enterprise they have the market intelligence, but I mentioned that we have a micro, what we call a micro manufacturing. So we focus on that 0 to 100, right? So when you're developing a device, when you do lean the product development, you need multiple iterations, right? So we have our own pick and place machine. We have all the tools to make, what we call production prototype. So prototype that could last, not Arduino, not Raspberry, and we partner with them, with the enterprises to, and I think that's gonna fuel our growth.
Oh, nice. Final question. Final. What inspire you, Faisal?
What inspires me? I think I kind
Yeah.
of touched on it a little bit earlier. I think we all try to find, why did God uh, put us put us on earth, right? So and I think I'm here to, herd engineers, kind of bring engineers together to build really cool stuff and build a company that is very friendly to engineers, you
Mm.
know. And I think
Yeah.
engineers, they want to work on interesting problems. They want to be well paid. They want some independence. So I think, being an engineer for a long time, I kind of know what I want. So I'm trying to build that company that an engineer will want to work for.
Right. That's amazing. That's inspiring. So thanks so much, Faisal Ali from Vectolabs Technologies, for
That's
sharing his thought on this. Yeah. And before I forget, I feel sorry to hear about the situation in Vectolab yesterday. I hope you guys are keeping up
yeah.
well now.
Yeah, it's
uh,
okay. We got lucky. I think whoever broke in, they left all our expensive equipment and they took the cheapest laptop. And they don't take the, I mean, they took the laptops, but
right.
the expensive equipment they didn't touch. So that was good for us.
Oh yeah.
So life goes
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for doing this for us, sharing this thought to new generations. Hope your message will travel. Okay, Faisal, see you again. You take care. All right, guys. Okay,
Thank you.
this is Faisal Ali from Vector Labs. Give it a big hand.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. Bye bye. Right, that's Faisal Ali from Vector Labs Technologies Nabahat on IoT adoption. Yeah, I think this is an interesting topic because IoT is something new for the country, as what Faisal said. Potentially projection about 50 billion new device going to be used, developed the next few years. And Malaysia is only in ASEAN, and Malaysia is poised to be in this situation that we are, to participate in this manufacturing of these devices. And we need more people like Faisal who are very inspiring, talking about he developed a company so that engineers could build cool stuff, well paid, and feel appreciated. Yeah. So Faisal also talks about for the new talent, no? They can learn more programming, they learn on more logical thinking, and we need to encourage more of the young people, the kids, to go into this direction because this is going to be the future. And Faza also mentioned about a two conference style, probably a too extroverted. So he wanted to be a bit more like what MTDC and Magic has done to him. That's great. And Vector Lab has won the Maxis Challenge, and that gave him a little bit of exposure and in the spotlight for a while, so that he knows, so a lot of customers know what this Vector Lab was about. So I hope this has been educational for you as well on IoT. So check out Faizal, Ali, and Vectolabs on his solutions. So with that, thank you so much. This is Cairo from Ice Chat Innovation, Change, and Entrepreneurship. We have another session this Friday with another Ice Chat, a partnership with Nayang Angels on something very interesting. You could see, you already see the ads. Join me at 3:30 p.m. this Friday. See you around. Innovation, change, and entrepreneurship, helping someone get back on their feet is good economics. Help someone, stay inspiring. See you again. Bye.